Hello and welcome to Menopause.work. My name is Shirley Weir. I'm the founder of Menopause Chicks and the host of Menopause Work .work. I absolutely love what I do. I love my job. I hope that you can say the same, but our job together today is to make sure that you and your colleagues at work have access to quality, verified, evidence-based women's health information that you absolutely deserve. I work at menopausechicks.com, and I also host a private online community on Facebook that has nearly 53,000 members. This is a broad topic, and what we're going to do today is probably barely going to scratch the surface. There's a lot of conversation happening around menopause education in the workplace right now, even as recently as last week, which was World Menopause Day, and the Menopause Foundation of Canada released a new report for employers that really shows the financial and economic impact to not addressing women's midlife health. So it's a very exciting time. Those of you on the call today are leaders and change makers and part of a groundbreaking movement, I feel, in the area of women's midlife health. There's lots to discuss in terms of those economic impacts, how we best deliver women's midlife health education to everyone in the workplace, women and everyone else. And there's conversations happening too about, do we talk about menopause in the workplace, or is simply our employer's job to give us access to that quality information, as well as reviewing benefit plans, making sure that they are reviewed on a regular basis, and finding ways as companies and workplace leaders to invest in women's health. We're not going to be able to get to everything on that list today, but our job is to make sure that you walk away with a fundamental understanding of how your hormones work when cycles are regular, so that you can begin to make a plan for when they are not. And then we will take the conversation from there. So let's get started. As I mentioned, my name is Shirley Weir. These are all the places that you are welcome to follow and find me. And I begin every conversation about perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, and women's midlife health in general with this one impactful statement, and that is that you deserve to feel amazing. We must begin with the end in mind. Conversations about menopause can quickly go to negativity. They can quickly go to words like symptoms and suffering, and they can quickly become very medicalized. And while there is definitely a medical component, a health model, a health system, a health team component to this conversation, we must begin with the fact that women are not meant to suffer and that we deserve to feel amazing. Also, sometimes our path towards that place called amazing runs through a tiny little place called not yet amazing. It was my own personal journey that actually got me here, and maybe it's your own personal journey that got you to this call today. All of that is okay, because I am going to be your tour guide. We are smart, we are savvy, and when we have access to quality health information, we can learn to navigate perimenopause to menopause to postmenopause with confidence and ease, because we are the first generation to turn 50 and have 50 more health plans years, health year. Sorry, let me do that again. We are the first generation to turn 50 and have 50 more years to plan for. It's not too early, and it's never too late to learn about our hormone health. But here's the thing, and it really does impact this topic of menopause conversations in the workplace. There are a lot of people talking about menopause in 2023. I started this work, Menopause Chicks was born 11 years ago. I probably started my research about 15 or 16 years ago. More conversations about menopause will not work if all they do is to continue to perpetuate those outdated myths and misinformation that say women are meant to suffer. And that leads us to this favorite quote that I have by Gloria Steinem, which is, our first challenge is not always to learn, but to unlearn. So you might be coming to today's online event with some generational myths or maybe stereotypes. Maybe those stereotypes have been reinforced by media or marketers, or maybe even in the workplace. And so our job is to, if we can, to kind of open our minds, say goodbye to maybe what we thought menopause was or means, and to open up our mind to what women's midlife health can mean going forward. I already told you who I am. The mission of Menopause Chicks has remained unchanged. My job is to empower you to navigate this journey with more confidence and ease. As I mentioned at the top, I do that through my website, menopausechicks.com, a private online community. I have a brand new show called This Show Is Not About Menopause. It's on YouTube or anywhere where you listen to your favorite podcasts. And I've written a few books. The vision for Menopause Chicks is for everyone to be hormone literate. And I always put my children on this slide. They're in their 20s now, but really it's about why did we learn about how to make a baby in grade 6 or grade 7 health class, and then the next week we learned how not to make a baby. And that ended the conversation about hormone health, which influences all genders at all ages and stages. So that is the vision. And I promise you, you will be more hormone literate 1 hour from now than you were coming in. Our agenda today is to make sure that you do leave with essential menopause and women's midlife health information. We'll touch a little bit on what both employees and employers must consider. Sorry about the typo, that should say employers. And that you have access, you know where to go to access quality, verified, evidence-based answers to your questions. Now, if you're sitting near a Post-it note, you can grab one off your desk or in the house. Do pick one up right now, because I love this exercise and I want to see your Post-it notes, whether they're on your screen, on your refrigerator, on your bathroom mirror. I don't like the Post-it notes that are around this steering wheel. This is a crazy scenario, but what we do need as often as a reminder is that you write these words on a Post-it note. I deserve to feel amazing. And it will serve as a reminder to you, perhaps to your work colleagues who see it on a regular basis, and even to the folks that you share a home with. So that's a little bit about why I'm here. I'd love to hear why you are here. If you have a specific question or reason that brought you to menopause.work today, do pop it into the chat. In about 40 minutes, I will be going through all of the questions in the chat. If you have to leave early, know that you will get a copy of the recording tomorrow and you can fast forward to the Q&A. So what is under this umbrella of women's midlife health? Well, often the words on the left will come up in media and marketing, and they include challenges, symptoms, suffering, if you will. These are some of the most common experiences. I like to reframe it because we all, whether we are experiencing adverse health experiences right now, we all are standing at an incredible window of opportunity to prioritize how we eat, move, and sleep, how we address stress, heart, brain, bone, vaginal, pelvic, and bladder health. So I am not the person that puts up a slide that says these are the 34, 56 symptoms of menopause, because that simply is not true. This is about learning how our body works and how we can make a plan going forward. This is a big slide, but it's really important. And what the first thing I want to hone in on is the word menopause. So menopause is an umbrella term that is often used to describe women's health 35 and up. But the truth is, menopause is one day. It's that line in the middle that marks the end of ovulation, reproduction, and menstruation. It's technically the 12-month anniversary of our very last period. Why do we have to wait 12 months before we celebrate menopause? Well, that's because we never know if our last period is our last period. We never know if our ovaries are going to develop one more egg follicle. So that's why the agreed upon definition is 12 months. It's going to be different for everyone, and is with many things in women's health, it's quite nuanced. The phase of life leading up to menopause is called perimenopause. Perimenopause is simply a phase of life defined by age. Peri means around, so around menopause. Much like when our hormones were fluctuating leading up to puberty or leading up to our first period, hormones fluctuate on the other end of the hormone teeter-totter and prepare our body for the end of reproduction. Perimenopause is not a synonym for symptoms, and it is not a synonym for suffering. It's simply and vaguely an age range as we get closer to menopause. Of course, the average age of menopause in Canada is 51.2. So we don't know a ton about perimenopause, but if you are within 5 to 10 to 15 years of 51, you are maybe in perimenopause. Hormones may have started fluctuating, and the first hormone to decline is progesterone. On the other side of menopause, the right-hand side of this umbrella is postmenopause. And we are in postmenopause after we reach menopause for the rest of our lives. This is really important because it helps to unpack some of that vocabulary or narrative around going through menopause. I don't say going through menopause because it creates this notion with women and everyone that it's something that we just have to wait for it to be over. We just have to get through it. We just have to suck it up and it will be better on the other side. The truth is, in postmenopause, progesterone has already declined, started in peri, and estrogen declines significantly, quite dramatically after menopause. And our ovaries never make estrogen and progesterone again. This is impactful, and you'll see on the slide, I have listed this impacts our heart, bone, brain, vaginal, pelvic, and bladder health for the next 30 to 50 years. And the reason there's an arrow with the word plan pointing backwards to the left is that the best time to make that plan is before you get there. But it's never too late. It's never too early, and it's never too late. So here's another way to look at the timeline. Perimenopause, 5 to 15 years leading up to menopause. Menopause, one day, average age is 51, and postmenopause every day for the rest of our lives. I'm 56 years old. I reached menopause when I was 49, so I have been in postmenopause for 7 years. Now, I've already alluded to some of the things that I don't say. I don't say going through menopause. I also don't turn the word perimenopause or menopause into an adjective, add an AL. You've probably seen this and heard this a lot, but saying menopausal, saying perimenopausal, it doesn't really fit the noun that it's describing. And it usually conjures up this notion of suffering. So a perimenopausal woman is often inferred as a woman who is suffering. And I know that's not the case in all conversations, but if I can steer us away from that language, it really helps to change the paradigm around this important conversation. I also don't say menopause symptoms or perimenopause symptoms. That's not to mean that women might not suffer. But what's important and what we're going to unpack today is that we find and treat the root cause. So perimenopause and menopause are not ailments, they're not diseases, they're not conditions. Therefore, they do not have symptoms. And if we can correct how we talk about what is the root cause, what we discover is that we learn this is the result of progesterone declining. And that is the result of estrogen declining. And if it's not fitting into those categories, what it does is it ignites our curiosity muscle so that we can all get curious about what else it might be. Iron deficiency, sleep deprivation, and insomnia. Maybe it's another health condition, such as a thyroid issue. So what's really, really key for you to take away from this is that we don't throw every adverse health experience that a woman might have into a bucket and call it menopause. When that happens, we miss the opportunity often to find and treat the root cause. We miss the opportunity to treat another important health condition. Things that I do say, well, you already heard me say it at the top. I always emphasize that we deserve to feel amazing. I will add to that list that you are not alone and that someone you love needs this information. Maybe it's you, maybe it's your mother, maybe it's your daughter, maybe it's your seatmate or work colleague, but getting this information for your own health, that's job number one. Telling others is definitely a close second, and that is really important. Okay, so I believe that the best kept secret up until 2023 has been that women don't always know the roles and responsibilities of hormones when cycles are regular. And therefore, that makes it hard for us to plan for when they're not. So let's start with that. Estrogen is the hormone that's produced in the first 2 weeks of our cycle when cycles are regular. Estrogen is a very strong and feisty hormone. It has to be. It's developing an egg follicle. Estrogen has hundreds of roles and responsibilities in a woman's physical and emotional health. Estrogen is it's responsible for protecting our heart, and it's responsible for protecting our brain and our bones and our vagina. It is our juicy hormone. It helps to keep our eyes moist, our mouth moist, our joints lubricated, and the skin of the vulva and the vagina lubricated. Now, estrogen is partnered with progesterone, and progesterone is the hormone that's produced in the second half of our cycle when cycles are regular. The reason I have dance partners on here is because estrogen and progesterone work together like perfect dance partners when cycles are regular. Progesterone also has hundreds of roles and responsibilities. It is very calming. So it comes in as the antidote to estrogen. It supports our mood. It supports our sleep. It invests in our brain and our bones as well. And progesterone is responsible for regulating bleeding and protecting the lining of our uterus. So one of the most common experiences when estrogen either fluctuates or declines in perimenopause is changes to bleeding. And sometimes that's a shorter, longer period, lighter period, and sometimes it's a heavier period. Many women who experience heavy bleeding will often think they're just unlucky and they haven't yet been able to connect the dots back to progesterone. Now, very quickly, those are the two hormones that I talk about the most, but it is not by any means the end of the hormone list. Women also produce testosterone, and testosterone is mistakenly referred to quite often as a male hormone and or a sex hormone, but women produce testosterone as well. And you may not know this, but testosterone is the hormone that's responsible for our confidence. And I mean, we might feel that on a day-to-day basis, but I also have noticed it in older women who will have a decline in confidence as they age. Maybe they no longer show interest in the activities that they once did, or they might lose interest in doing everyday activities like banking or sorting mail. I noticed that with my mother, and now that I've learned about testosterone, I can definitely at least be curious about that link back. Very important hormone, our stress hormone, which is cortisol. And cortisol is definitely, required to have that ideal balance. Too little is not good. Too much is definitely not good. And cortisol impacts the production of our estrogen and progesterone in our ovaries. Now, cortisol probably got me this role at Menopause Chicks. I really just wanted to blame something for my brain fog, my sleep deprivation, even rage with my children. I was going through things that I really didn't have an explanation for 15, 16 years ago. Now, when I look back and I have the hindsight and the education and information around cortisol, I can see that at 41, I was probably, too young to be in perimenopause, but I was also not taking care of myself. I was waking up every morning at 3 a.m. and getting up and telling myself that I was gifted, that I could work for 4 hours before my children woke up. I know it sounds absolutely crazy right now, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is you right now, but I now know that cortisol was wreaking havoc on my quality of life and that it was really up to me to prioritize my health at that point. Another key slide for today's conversation is a hormone called thyroid. This is underchecked, discussed in doctors' offices, probably because our health appointments are generally 10 to 12 minutes long. But in the Menopause Chicks community, on a daily basis, I will speak with women who have already maybe been to their health appointment for the year, and they are experiencing things like headaches, fatigue, exhaustion, hair loss, inability to lose weight, just a general not feeling well, not feeling motivated. And when I ask if their thyroid has been checked, the answer is often no. So I invite you to take the first steps in terms of putting this on a list of things that you want to discuss at your next healthcare appointment, and regularly, annually, if you can. I apologize, this slide is fuzzy, but I wanted to throw it in here because what we just talked about, this is one way of illustrating it. And it does show that pre-menopause at the bottom shouldn't be there. It's a stupid phrase, actually. It's our reproductive years is actually what pre-menopause means. But what you see on the left-hand side of the screen is puberty. And you can see that estriadol, which is one of 3 types of estrogen that we produce, it fluctuates quite wildly in puberty and then again in perimenopause. But in the middle, during our reproductive years, estriadol and progesterone are quite even and steady. Then as we approach perimenopause and through perimenopause, that green line is the first to decline. And in postmenopause, the purple line, which is estrogen, also declines. This is the spot where women will experience the most symptoms, generally speaking, and that is illustrated with the red line as it goes up. Another way to draw this is a roller coaster, and often perimenopause for many women that I speak to feels like a bit of a roller coaster. It's very unpredictable, and it can be quite scary. But these are the common experiences of perimenopause. Irregular and heavy bleeding, as I mentioned, a change in sexual desire, sometimes breast tenderness, definitely changes to mood and sleep, sometimes foggy thinking, sometimes PMS, maybe for the first time in your life, new onset of anxious and depressed feelings, and vasomotor symptoms. So vasomotor symptoms is the correct term for hot flashes and night sweats. I invite all of us to stop calling them hot flashes because our society has somehow patronized women into believing that hot flashes are just a change in temperature. They're actually our blood vessels constricting. It's a vasomotor event, and it is super important that we regard hot flashes as a check engine light. You know what happens when the check engine light comes on in your vehicle? You pull over to the side of the road, you lift the hood, you find and treat the root cause. And that's how we need to start regarding vasomotor symptoms, especially as an investment in women's heart health. Heart disease is the #1 premature killer of women, and many heart attacks, heart disease, and stroke incidents can be prevented. So if we do nothing else today, that would be a step in the right direction if we are starting to regard hot flashes as that important sign from our body that it needs something, and then we find and treat the root cause. Yes, this is a feature that was on CBC in the fall of 2022. The headline reads, "Every 22 minutes, a Canadian woman dies of a heart attack, and most of those are preventable." You can go look that up on CBC. Then we reach menopause, and I use a cupcake here because I do like to mark the event as a celebration. For many women that I speak to, it's a celebration of no longer having a period or the inconvenience of a period. For some women, it's saying goodbye to contraception, but it is also a chance for us to really come into the second half of our life. And for a lot of women, that means newfound confidence. It means acknowledging and recognizing our wisdom. For some of us, it means freedom, perhaps as an empty nester, or maybe changing careers, or maybe changing partners, or maybe changing homes. I mean, definitely it's your story to write. But what I want to enforce today is that the definition, that it's one day, and understanding the phases of life before and after, that you can definitely celebrate with a cupcake or a cocktail or a mocktail. And it's a chance for you to understand the decisions that you need to make around contraception. So the International Menopause Society recommends that if you reach menopause and you are over the age of 50, that you continue contraception for 1 year. And if you reach menopause and you are under the age of 50, that you continue contraception for 2 years. That's because doctors do not want 50-year-old women to get pregnant, and most 50-year-old women that I know do not want to get pregnant either. And finally, on this slide, this is the moment in our lives where we really have this inertia to make an investment strategy in our health for the next 3 to 5 decades. And the reason for that is because our generation is facing overwhelming statistics in heart disease, osteoporosis, dementia, incontinence, pelvic organ prolapse, vaginal atrophy, so many things that can impact the quality of our life for the next 5 decades. And we have this chance to be preventative. Regardless of how old we are or where we are, there is a chance to prevent and or treat, restore our quality of life, which will then positively influence not only our lives, but our family or our caretakers' lives, as well as the health model and the community at large. And then after menopause is postmenopause. So I mentioned I have been in postmenopause for 7 years. I use the image of the cliff diver for the very reason that estrogen goes for a significant decline postmenopause. And that can lead to a number of things. First and foremost is dryness. This decline in estrogen can impact our skin, our hair, our joints, our bones, and our vaginal health. Some women will have continued hot flashes if they have not been previously addressed. And I can't emphasize enough the importance for you to address those hot flashes. Some women will experience a change in cognitive function, difficulty remembering. That could be the impact of a steep decline in estrogen. But I wanted to also draw this connection from dryness to frequent UTIs. Anybody can get a urinary tract infection at any age and stage, but it is so prevalent in women post-menopause, and I need you to know that it can be prevented, as well as, although we have antibiotics to treat a UTI, they become less and less effective the more recurring that infection happens. So what I want you to know is that when estrogen declines, the urethra can get shorter and smaller, and that makes it more susceptible to infection. And the most common type of infection is a UTI. UTIs are responsible for 500,000 doctor visits per year in Canada. That's 500,000 doctor visits that we could eradicate if we all knew that we have the ability to prevent UTIs. In the States, the number is 10 million. Not addressing these issues, they're called genitourinary issues, can also lead to incontinence, and incontinence is very costly, not just from a wallet perspective, although that could lead, if you're incontinent for 30 or 40 years, that's over $50,000, but also a cost to the environment and a cost to freedom and convenience. So I ask you the question, what if we could significantly decrease future rates of these serious glaring statistics that are facing my generation and yours? And I think that the answer is, let's do it. And I think that the fact that you're here today is about addressing your quality of life now, but also making sure that we're all investing for the future. And when we're talking about, how do I figure out what to do, where to go, what the root cause is, I often refer to this inverted pyramid. And the reason for the inverted pyramid is not because anything here is less or more important than the other, but it helps I find women in the Menopause Chicks community to understand that there is not a magic wand. This is not go talk to your doctor about hormone therapy. Although I'm on hormone therapy and I am happy to share my experience, it's not my job to tell you to take hormone therapy. It is my job to make sure that you have an investigative conversation with your health team about what the benefits might be for you. And alongside of that, to be included in that conversation is, how might you address changes to how we eat, move, sleep, manage stress arguably could be at the very top of this pyramid. But to also learn about, are there nutritional supports that we might need to address at this age and stage? The most common ones that I talk about are iron. So any person who still has a period is likely to be low in ferritin, and ferritin is the measurement of iron stores in our blood. It's an easy blood test that you can ask your doctor for, and when you know your ferritin score, then you can match that up against how you might be feeling. Symptoms of iron deficiency include fatigue, exhaustion, hair loss, headaches, all the way to restless legs syndrome and heart palpitations. So it's an important mineral that we can't function without. And this is not a conversation about just making sure that you're not anemic. It's actually making sure that your tank is full so that you can function optimally. I also talk a lot about the benefits of magnesium, omega-3, vitamin D, and mostly to make sure that you get a custom recommendation that's right for you. And then thyroid, we already touched upon, but it's an important element to this pyramid. And you could add alongside of thyroid other health conditions. And then, of course, finding out about the benefits or potential benefits of hormone therapy for you, and then reviewing that on a regular basis with your healthcare provider. Hormone therapy could be an entire hour unto itself, and I know many of you might have questions about that. Many members of the Menopause Chicks community do. I will address this slide, and then I'll probably jump into the Q&A just to see what your questions are. So hormone therapy is also an umbrella term. You might have heard other people refer to it as hormone replacement therapy or HRT. Those terms are outdated. Hormone therapy is the umbrella term, and it includes all types of hormone therapy. So the birth control pill is a form of hormone therapy. The IUD, the hormone base, like the Mirena IUD, is a form of hormone therapy. Progesterone therapy, which is sometimes started before menopause, is a form of hormone therapy. And even tamoxifen, which is a treatment for breast cancer, is a form of hormone therapy. But what we talk about mostly when we're talking about menopause is menopause hormone therapy. And the protocol for that, although it's quite very, very, very individualized, the protocol includes three things, and making sure that you understand, and in conversation with hopefully an educated and experienced healthcare provider, that you're getting the right hormones for your age and stage. You're getting the right doses for your age and stage, and you're getting the right mode of delivery. So mode of delivery means how the therapy is being administered to your body. And that might be orally, it might be transdermally through a gel, a cream, or a patch, and it might be vaginally. And I follow and train with the North American Menopause Society. So all of this information is verified and evidence-based via the North American Menopause Society, or they just changed their name to the Menopause Society. And so according to the most recent position statement on hormone therapy from the North American Menopause Society, hormone therapy is approved for these three things: the treatment of vasomotor symptoms, the treatment of vulva and vaginal dryness or atrophy, otherwise known as genitourinary syndrome of menopause. And this word is so important, and I hope that we see more and more of it going forward: the prevention of bone loss. So 1 in 3 of us will fall and break a bone due to osteoporosis. One of the reasons for that is that when estrogen goes for that steep decline post-menopause, women lose approximately 20% of our bone mass in the first 5 to 6 years of post-menopause. Can that be prevented through other means? Well, it's kind of like bone health is kind of like a three-legged stool. So we have to address nutrition. We have to be practicing strength building exercises, and we have to have investigative conversation about what the benefits of hormone therapy might be for us, especially in that window post-menopause. So that's a little bone health soapbox for today. And yeah, I mean, again, it just really comes back to, we deserve quality of life now, so we deserve not to suffer. We deserve to feel amazing, but we also deserve the opportunity, the education, the quality information to invest in our future health. So that was very, very quick. We're at the 45-minute mark. I do have other slides on hormone therapy, on vulva and vaginal and urinary health, but I think what I will do, oh yeah, sorry, this is the slide on menopause.work. And I know if you are a workplace leader, if you are an employer thinking about your employment brand, or perhaps you're responsible for reviewing benefits at your workplace, I know that today's content is really about making sure that individuals have the basic fundamental information about how hormones work before menopause and the health implications post-menopause. But there are other important dialogues that need to happen. How do we bring that education to the workplace? What is the best way to do that? Do we bring it to our workplace, or do we simply make it accessible for our employees? Is this a conversation that should be happening in the workplace? And if so, how? What do we need to understand about stereotypes, about the reluctance that employees might have in terms of sharing their current experiences with sleep, with stress, with other physical and emotional health experiences? So big conversations. Many of those are going to be coming to the forefront in these last few weeks of 2023, definitely in 2024. I would love to hear your input, especially if you are in that leadership role, but maybe even more importantly so, if you are not. I would love to hear from you as to how you think this conversation should move forward, how women's midlife health should be prioritized in your workplace, and your input and feedback really does matter. So let's quickly shift gears and go into the Q&A. Again, if you do have to step off, you will get a copy of this recording tomorrow, and you can fast forward to the Q&A section. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and get into the chat. If you have any questions for me, please pop them in there now, as well as tomorrow when you receive the replay, I will give you my contact information if you need to ask any questions. They could be clarifying questions from what you heard today, or your own individual question. You can reach out to me and we can do a one-to-one. Okay, how's everybody doing? That's probably a lot. I do just need to get the chat open. Jackie, where's my chat? There we go. Okay, I'm just going to scroll back up to the top and see how we are doing. Oh, that's good. You couldn't hear my leaf blower. That's so good. Hello, everybody. Oh, I love that you're sharing where you work. I so appreciate that. I think that you are very fortunate to have the leaders and the employers that are making this information accessible. And as I said, I think today is probably the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so first question, can we please have some solutions re weight gain and insomnia that we can experience that have no underlying health issue, and will the weight gain stop? A very common question that I get a lot, and I'll be honest with you, I don't talk about weight gain too much in the Menopause Chicks community, because, and I'm sure you don't talk about it in the workplace all that much either, it is so challenging. One, I mostly work in a Facebook community, and Facebook is the very last place we should be talking about weight management, because it brings out a lot of mis and disinformation. Two, what is it? Over 20% of women have either experienced or experiencing an eating disorder. So it can be quite triggering. I am not an expert in that area, but I can speak to what I know about weight. I'm heavier than I used to be. I am in my, I'm 56 years old. I never expected to weigh what I weighed when I was 24. There is now more of me to love. And that is the paradigm that I adopt, with a caveat. Weight can be a health factor or indicator. And it can be a risk factor for certain types of cancer, like breast cancer. So I need to keep that in check. I'm also very concerned about my heart health going forward. So do have a conversation with your doctor about your cardiovascular numbers. Make sure you know your blood pressure. Make sure you're being tested for cholesterol levels and other cardiovascular factors. That's what we need to talk about when we are talking about weight. Everything else needs to be part of a very individualized and personal conversation with your doctor. And I don't think that it is my job or appropriate in the Menopause Chicks community to talk about weight. I'll add one more piece of information for you though. Estrogen is an appetite suppressant. So if you go back to the chart that I showed where, estrogen and progesterone were the perfect dance partners during our reproductive years, and then estrogen goes for, it's fluctuating in perimenopause, and then it goes for a steep decline, that does impact our weight along with our metabolism. Make sure thyroid is added to the list. And I know you asked about sleep, and that's a huge challenge for so many women that I work with. I'll keep my answer pretty short. I think that I am, the next topic that we are going to address in this Menopause.work series is going to be sleep, because it's so important. But please remember, if you didn't catch it, that progesterone is the hormone that is responsible and supportive for sleep. So definitely have an investigative conversation about the potential benefits of progesterone for you. And alongside of that, in the inverted pyramid, it's on page 25 of my book. I include the line of nutritional support. And it's super important that you read the section on magnesium, because magnesium is a mineral that is so important to our overall well-being, including support for sleep, and very depleted, very difficult to get through diet alone. Most North Americans are going to be magnesium deficient. So you can learn about that, and then you can reach out and ask me any questions. As a female in postmenopause, how do I endure that my hormones are all, how do I ensure, that my hormones are all balanced? Well, they won't be. If you are in postmenopause and you are not yet on hormone therapy, then your body is going to be trying to function without the same ingredients that it once had. So estrogen and progesterone are protecting, they're trying to develop an egg. Yes, that's one part of it. And it's usually the only part that's discussed in conversations about estrogen and progesterone. But when our cycles are regular, our hearts, our brains, our bones, and our vaginas are protected by that regular hormone production. So we are now, if we reach menopause at 51, we are turning to our body and saying, please do all those same jobs without the same ingredients. It's not really fair. And so that's why it's important to find, hormone therapy is the first line recommended treatment around the world. That doesn't mean that it's for everyone, but it definitely is worth everyone having an investigative conversation about what it could mean for you, and whether that is addressing current symptoms or investing in your future heart and brain and bone and vaginal health. It's super important. So it's not, I can't even, the question, I can't even answer it appropriately, because your hormones are not going to be in balance in postmenopause. You won't have the same ingredients or level. Whoa, this next one is a bit of a long one, but let me see if I can do it. I am keen to know more options for symptom relief in perimenopause. I am 44. Amazing that you're here. Thank you so much. And have been having very sporadic periods for over a year, heavy period for 2 months in a row, and then no period for 2 to 3 months. So that is one of the defining features of perimenopause, is the unpredictability of our periods. So you're definitely in perimenopause. Your hormone levels have been tested 3 times in 1 year. Oh, goodness. And they are always close to normal. Okay, so here's the thing on testing. We don't test hormones in puberty. If you go back to the chart where they were fluctuating in puberty, we don't need to test hormones in perimenopause. The reason we don't need to test hormones in perimenopause is because they are fluctuating all the time, sometimes wildly. And our hormone levels can change depending on whether you have it tested on the, which month, which day of the month, which time of day, because they can change from morning to night. So it could be that you've had your hormones tested and, it's at that point in the fluctuation. It's just a snapshot in time. All of that said, if you are the type of person that needs numbers, that you need to see numbers, then I understand why you and your healthcare provider might be doing testing. You might also use this opportunity to test other things, like your thyroid, like your vitamin B or D level, and that's like amazing and should definitely be on everyone's list. Okay, so I'm just trying to get to your GP put you on the birth control pill to try to alleviate your symptoms. Interesting. It will be I'm open to hormone therapy if necessary, but my hormone levels are not out of whack. Okay, so in perimenopause, and it might not be time for you, but in perimenopause, often it's that progesterone decline that's impacting the bleeding and the hot flashes. And so progesterone therapy, if you look back at the umbrella of hormone therapy, that's why progesterone therapy exists on the perimenopause side. And so that is something that you could get really curious about. And if you'd like to talk about this in a one-on-one, I'm happy to walk you through it, to give you the backup resources and information that you need. And I will even provide script tips that you can take to your next health appointment. I was told to discontinue hormone therapy after my breast cancer diagnosis. Is that just one type, or could there be something else that might be okay? Yes, so that's going to be very common. And anyone who has a history of breast cancer personally, not breast cancer in your family, but if you have a history of breast cancer, you are going to want to sit down with an experienced hormone therapy expert to find out and to weigh the benefits to your health, because obviously you want to think about your breast cancer experience, but you also want to weigh that with benefits to heart health and bone health and so on, and any risks for you. So what are your individual risks? The North American Menopause Society also has a position paper on the recommended treatment options that are non-hormone related. So those are going to be treatment options designed to eliminate your vasomotor symptoms, okay? They are not treatments that will invest in heart, brain, bone, or vaginal health. And when I say vaginal health at the end of that list, I always need to remember to include that when we say hormone therapy, we are often talking about systemic hormone therapy. So that would be something that you would take orally, like progesterone, or transdermally, which is for estrogen. But vaginal estrogen is not a concern for anyone who has breast cancer or who is or isn't already taking hormone therapy systemically. So hopefully that's clear. If you have any questions, I'll just summarize. There are hormone and non-hormone treatments for vasomotor symptoms, but the first line treatment for both treating symptoms and preventing bone loss in particular is hormone therapy. And vaginal estrogen is one way in which we can prioritize the health of the vulva, the vagina, the urinary tract. We can also moisturize with hyaluronic acid, and those are key in terms of preventing UTIs, which I alluded to earlier. Reach out if you have any questions. Wow, you guys got some long ones today. I had my uterus removed in my late 30s due to extreme bleeding and pain. I understand. They left my ovaries and I was told this would avoid me having to have hormone therapy. I'm sorry that you received that misinformation. I am now 51 and I find that I'm experiencing many things, pretty much everything that you have been talking about. My doctor is very dismissive. I don't think he actually likes women, and I'm kind of lost at what stage I am at or what I should be doing or not doing. Okay. And I totally love that you're doing weight training. That's amazing. So here is a little bit of direction. I'm so sorry that you feel dismissed by your doctor. I can assure you that you're not alone. I frequently refer to a report from the, it's called the inherwords.ca study that was conducted here in British Columbia, which is where I live. A few years ago, I was part of the study, and sadly, it shows that 54% of women in my demographic feel dismissed or disappointed when they go to their health appointment. And that number is significantly higher for Indigenous women and women of color. So we have a lot of work to do. And one of the things that I absolutely love to do, if you're interested, is provide script tips. I can ensure that you walk into your next health appointment feeling more informed and more empowered to ask the questions or to frame your ideal health outcome, so that you can get the answers that you need. So you had your uterus removed. That doesn't change what happens in your ovaries. So yes, you are still going to experience those fluctuations of hormones in perimenopause and the steep decline of progesterone and then estrogen in postmenopause. The only thing that you don't have to go by is a period anymore because you no longer have a uterus, but you're 51. So I am going to assume that with your age and your current health experiences that you have reached menopause or are close to it. Doesn't really matter, because the only thing that matters about whether or not you have a period or not is really like, ultimately, do you still need contraception? And you don't, of course. So what you do need is a really informed conversation about what you can do to address your current quality of life and to invest in your future health. And if you want to get curious about the benefits of hormone therapy for you, we'll set you up and get you ready for your next doctor's appointment. I heard that hormone therapy may cause cancer. Is this correct? No, it's not correct. Looking forward to hearing Shirley's response. My GP shared that cancer risk is about the same to that of obesity. So in this thread here, you were saying cancer. Now, I can't speak to all cancers, but I can point you to the position statement on hormone therapy from the North American Menopause Society, and I can do a little blurb on breast cancer. So hormone therapy does not cause breast cancer. The highest risks, or the things that impact our risk for breast cancer, include, this is really important, having breasts, age. Age is number 2. So our age puts, depending where we are, puts us at a higher risk of getting breast cancer. And then the other modifiable factors play a key role in whether or not we are at risk for breast cancer. And modifiable factors include alcohol, obesity, and movement. So those things, in addition to your genetic profile, which of course we can't discuss here, it needs to be part of an individualized conversation. But if what you can take away from this conversation around breast cancer means that you no longer think hormone therapy is the bad guy, and gets you into a conversation about what might be a solution for you, that's going to be a win for me and for your health for the next 3 to 5 decades. So hopefully, if you have any questions, let me know. Do you have a list of providers you recommend by area or state that specialize in women's health? I sort of do. So the North American Menopause Society does certify practitioners. They're now called MSCP, which stands for Menopause Society Certified Practitioners. You can find a list of those practitioners in North America, so Canada and the US, at menopause.org, and then search by country and then by province or state. What you need to know is that that list is approximately 1,800 long. So 1,800 healthcare professionals, doctors, medical doctors, naturopathic doctors, pharmacists, registered dietitians, they're all part of that list of roughly 1,800. There are 1 billion women who are going to have reached menopause or be in postmenopause by 2025. So 1,800 doctors, 1 billion women. It's not a good ratio. And I say that because I love all of the menopause certified practitioners that I know and that I have definitely the privilege to work with. But you do not need a Menopause Society certified practitioner to prescribe estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so your family doctor has prescribing rights, or if you work with a naturopathic physician or you work with a nurse practitioner who has prescribing rights, they can prescribe hormone therapy. And it's hormone therapy that is accessible from any pharmacy, that's produced by reputable pharmaceutical companies, that's evidence-based, and that is backed up by the North American Menopause Society. So if I can help you build your health team, I am happy to do that. But I am also going to enforce that if you have the privilege of having a family doctor, having a different or perhaps a pivoted conversation with that healthcare professional may actually be the shortest distance between 2 points. Are the hormones in the Mirena IUD the same hormones that we are tested for in blood work? I'm not sure I understand that question, but the Mirena contains a progestin, which is a non-bioidentical form of progesterone. It's the same progestin that you would find in the birth control pill, except it's administered locally. So a birth control pill we take orally, obviously, and the Mirena IUD administers that progestin to the uterus locally. I am medicated for my thyroid and I still feel off. My doctor has tested my hormones and has told me there's nothing wrong with me. Okay, so everybody lean in for this one. Your doctor doesn't tell you that there's nothing wrong with you. That's your job. It's so heartbreaking whenever I hear individuals share with me that their doctor has done all the tests and told the woman that's sitting in front of them that she's fine, when in fact she came to that doctor's appointment today unfine. And it's a hard part of our society, but I work every day to try to steer us through and to get you the information and the access to healthcare that you need and that you deserve. So I'm not quite sure about what hormones you've had tested, but you probably don't. What you need to know is your age, your stage, which would be the date of your last period, and any debilitating or disruptive symptoms that you're experiencing. I will take those 3 things. I will weigh them against what could potentially be caused by low progesterone, what could be potentially caused by low estrogen, or what might be something else. What might be iron deficiency, what might be thyroid, maybe your protocol or your therapy for thyroid treatment needs to be reviewed and adjusted. We can work through and provide you with a list of questions that you need for your next appointment. Can you please send out your book in a PDF format in the email you are going to send with the recording tomorrow? I can open it and I have tried several times. It is a PDF. but I also have it online, so I can share that link tomorrow as well. So you would just view it in an online browser. There are many types of magnesium. Which one do you suggest? Yes, great question. I have an article at menopausechicks.com. Just search for magnesium that explains all of the types of magnesium, but the type that I talk about the most is magnesium bisglycinate. It doesn't have the same type of impact to bowel function, i.e., it doesn't cause diarrhea if you take it to bowel tolerance. And that is always the recommendation with magnesium bisglycinate. So you can take what's on the package, or you can do a half dose and then build up to it. And it is going to be the most supportive of mood and sleep. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Fish oil or capsules, which is better? I don't know. I'm not a health advisor, but if you're asking about omega-3s, then definitely do have an investigative conversation about what type of omega-3s would be best for you, particularly if you are taking them as an investment in brain health and heart health. Is there a natural way of doing hormone therapy? Okay, I'm kind of smiling, like a little bit of a smirk, because I will clarify some definitions for you here. And the only natural hormones, so the word natural is quite nuanced, it's quite misused, and it does contribute to a lot of misinformation and misinterpretation that we encounter every single day. Natural hormones are the ones that are made by our ovaries. Full stop. So the only natural hormone therapy that an individual could take would be hormones from your girlfriend, which you know is not going to happen. All other hormone therapy is synthetic. It means it's processed. Some hormone therapy is going to be manufactured by a reputable pharmaceutical and available at any pharmacy. And in some cases, hormone therapy could be compounded if an individual requires a very specific or individual protocol. I would opt or say that, 95, 98, 99% of us can function very well with, this is an example of my progesterone. So this is Prometrium, which is made by Organon, which used to be Merck, and available to everyone. And then estriadol is the type of estrogen also available. The most common brand names would be estrogel or Divigel. There are some combination treatments. I can share a list of common brand names if that's something that would be helpful to you in your conversation, either with your doctor or your pharmacist. Oh, Jackie, yeah, thanks for sharing Feel Amazing. That is where you can get the hyaluronic acid vulva and vaginal moisturizer. This is approved for the treatment of vulva and vaginal dryness, and it's also very effective for preventing vulva and vaginal dryness. There's lots of education at the feelamazing.com website. Just some thoughts, if I may. As a woman in menopause from a younger-ish age without prior hormone health issues, and very regular menstruation from day one, this is a very huge area in which we need to advocate for ourselves with doctors. Could not agree with you more. There are also naturopathic doctors that specialize in women's hormone health. Yes, there are. And there are a number of naturopathic doctors who are certified by the North American Menopause Society. So when you go through that list, you can see, and if you are interested in working with a naturopathic doctor, you can see them from anywhere within your province. So the province is the guideline for them practicing. So I think a lot of people on the call today are from Ontario. You do not need to live in the same town as your naturopathic doctor. Regular checkups and blood work are certainly a great start, but normal results are not always optimal. Very well said. I love this so far. And these optimal levels vary per individual. Absolutely. And please don't let any doctor say you're too young for perimenopause, because more women in their 30s and 40s are entering perimenopause and menopause. Yeah, I was with you throughout all of that. I'm not sure that I agree 100% that more women are entering perimenopause early, but the caveat to that is that more women are experiencing more hormone health experiences and conditions than ever before. Part of that reason is we're more informed and we're more educated. A second part of that reason could be linked to stress levels, could be linked to environment, food, food sources, all of those things. Absolutely no resources to back that up with today, just a hypothesis. But I know that I'm having conversations with my 20-year-old daughter, and she was diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, when she was 17 and lost her period. So in my generation, if my period had have gone missing at age 17, I'm not sure that I would have had the wherewithal to do anything about it. I'm not sure my parents would have known how to steer me. And I'm not entirely sure, of course, I would never know, that my health team would have known what to do about it. The good news is that girls and young women today are more curious about how their hormones work when cycles are regular. And we are getting more information and research about how to prioritize our sleep, how to prioritize how we eat, move, sleep, and manage stress. So I love everything that you've said there. And thank you for just endorsing those key points about, being how to learn to be our own best health advocate. I really appreciate it. I found the Menopause Manifesto by Dr. Gunter a useful read. Are there any other books or articles that you would recommend? Yes, I just gave you Feel Amazing. It's a quick read. The ultimate goal of, it's my second book and my third one is coming out in 2024. The ultimate goal of Feel Amazing is to really invite all women at all stages to get curious, to really stop putting our own health on the back burner and understand that when we make our health a priority, put it on the front burner, doesn't matter whether it's sleep, waking up too early, changes to sexual desire. Instead of saying, I guess it's just part of being a woman, we're actually saying, I wonder what the root cause is of this. And is there a evidence-based solution for me? And if what I do now, will it serve as an investment in my future health? I think that is definitely the key difference of what we're seeing throughout all these conversations in 2023. And so you now have access to this. It's really just to start that conversation and to make sure that we all deserve to access this quality information and education. You are most welcome. Thank you so much. Jackie, thanks for looking up the magnesium information. I really appreciate it. I know we went over time. I'm so glad that you carved out time on your calendar for October 25th and joined us here. I do believe this is the beginning of many more menopause.work conversations to come. I do look forward to hearing your feedback, and please reach out if you have any personal questions or if anything that you heard today requires clarity. Thanks, everybody. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm trying not to say anyone's name. You're welcome. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Amazing. Thank you. Thanks for making it a priority at your workplace today. If you have colleagues that want to attend the session later today, it's at 4 p.m. Pacific or 7 p.m. Eastern. Okay, see you soon. Bye.